I wanted to talk a little bit about a program that I've been using a bit with my middle school students to showcase their work in VR. I can start by sharing a little bit of background on the assignment. My students were doing a design thinking challenge where they'd come up with a design to solve a problem. Their work was accompanied by a simple write-up containing some information about their user, constraints that they were operating under, and what some of the outcomes were going to be. In addition to the simple report, I had them use Tinkercad and SketchUp to build out a 3D design of their solution. In having my students do this work, I wanted to consider a new take on the classic science fair type project. I couldn't think of a more engaging way to highlight what they'd done than to put it into VR. Enter an application called WorldViz. If you've never heard of the software, it is basically an easily accessible VR creation tool. Also built for collaboration. It allows you to drag and drop 3D models into your own VR spaces. Certainly not the first VR creation tool here, but where WorldViz excels is in its ease and accessibility. Since this was the first time using the tool, I figured I would do most of the legwork creating the virtual gallery and leave them to designing their 3D models. After figuring out a fairly simple workflow, I'm confident that my students can handle building out the VR gallery in WorldViz. It's pretty easy to pull off. WorldViz has a few different parts to its suite of design software, including the Vizible Inspector. This was a way to convert our models into a friendly format that would maintain textures, lighting, and scale for a more simple import process into the presentation designer. In short, the process went a little bit as follows. My students created their models and made sure to export them as OBJ files. They were able to then send me the OBJ and accompanying MTL file containing any materials. I would bring the file into the Vizible Inspector next. Sometimes this required me to convert to a different file format in FBX. Autodesk makes an easy FBX converter that will take an OBJ, put it right into a FBX file with the materials embedded. I'll link that in the description here. Finally, once in Vizible Inspector, I would size it correctly, save it to the OSGB format, which is what the Vizible Presentation Designer likes best. And then the last step is to open up the Presentation Designer, import the model, and place it into the final presentation. The thing that I love the most about Vizible comes when you start using its presentation tools. For our STEAM Night exhibition, the students were able to guide their parents through the VR gallery and show off what they'd worked on. This was accomplished by having the students act as docents while wearing a VR headset on one side of our school library, while the parent joined into the session in another headset on the opposite side of the library. For our night, we used an HTC Vive along with an Oculus Rift and had no compatibility issues whatsoever. Because it can be a little bit disorienting and tricky to move inside the VR space, especially for people experiencing it for the first time, we opted to create slides that were controlled by the student. Parents were given the ability to grab objects in the room, but the movement around the space happened as their child tabbed through slides, moving them to the next table in the exhibit. It was really handy being able to voice chat while in the presentation tools. The kids could answer any questions for the adults viewing their projects. All in all, it was a great success. The kids were more than excited to first produce and then share their work with others in the community. I was certainly impressed how easily we accomplished our project, and the people at Vizible were awesome about answering questions and troubleshooting us through the process. I also feel like we're barely tapping into all the educational value of this software. The ability to collaborate and share models and spaces across distances really is a pretty slick process, and one that I am looking forward to trying some more.